Hello, Alex from TrainerDay here. I'm going to go into a deep dive on TrainerDay, the web application, and all the features of the web application. We also have a deep dive on Coach Jack. We have a separate deep dive on our training app. So this is the third of that, which is the deep dive on our web application here. You know, one of the initial things that a lot of people do and like to do is they come in and they search workouts and they look at our workouts. And by default, it's sorted by popularity, and you can see what's most popular. That doesn't necessarily mean it's what we recommend in a lot of cases. You know, this is a really hard workout. For the right person, this might be okay, but in a lot of cases, it's not necessarily the best workout for a lot of people. So, you can search between, if you have a paid account, you get these extra features where you can search minutes between, stress between, intensity between, and you can also hide those extra features, right? So you can search your library. So if you add things to your library, let's just say I really like this workout and I add it to my favorites, or I can click add to new list. So if I add it to a new list, it will create a new list and add it to that. Let's just say I add it to favorites. It shows I've added it to my favorites. And if I want to search my library is these lists. So I can just come in here and search my library. You can also search on the My Library tab. I'll show you that. But come down, you see lots of different workouts. Once you add them to your library, if you're using the paid version and you have our premium version, you can then see those lists inside of our application. So, and you can grab those workouts. You also can, send these workouts to other platforms, and I'll show that in a little bit. So this is my workouts. This is search workouts. We got lots of pages. We've got, 30,000 shared workouts here, probably more than most people need. But yeah, so then we have create a workout. So our workout creator is incredibly easy. And so you can do like 5 minutes of 40% for a warm up, 50 minutes of 65% at the zone 2, and you can do 5 minutes at 40%. Now, if you prefer to just enter zone 2, you could just actually come in here and just type in zone 1, zone 2, and you could type in zones. You also, once your FTP is set, so you can click here to set your FTP. Here's our cycling FTP. Once your FTP is set, if you want to enter actual watts, you can set them in here. Now, when you're entering watts, this is ultimately stored still as a percentage of FTP. So I enter, let's just say 120 watts, and if I go back here, it's going to show that 67% of my FTP, right? So it's ultimately still stored as a percentage. So as your FTP goes up, if you do this workout, these workouts will change, So if you wanted static watts and I want it always to be 200 watts, the only way to do that is actually just to leave your FTP the same, right? So then we got other features here like sets and reps. So sets and reps makes it super fast to create. I just want 6 intervals with 2 minutes of work at 100% and 2 minutes of break at 40%, right? So now I've just created, an interval workout with kind of a minimal amount of code here. And again, it's still very simple to do. So we've got some more advanced features, and then I can turn off sets and reps, and you can see it turns it into all of the individual intervals. You can see the start and the end of individual intervals. So one of the other things you can do is like slope percent. So if we turn on cadence also, so I'll turn on both of those. So slope percent ultimately works in our application as well as in Zwift. How does it work in Zwift? Anyway, yeah, it works in Zwift somehow. It will set the slopes in Zwift. Is that true? No. I think it goes to free ride. Slope mode works in our application, and you can say set a slope of 5%. So now the other thing I do here is if I type slope. So typing this slope forces our application to switch to slope mode. Now you can do it manually. You can go in and press the slope button. But if you want it to switch automatically from slope to say ERG, you can do that. And you could say, you know, that's 100%. We could say that's 10% grade versus a 5% grade. That's a huge change, but you can go in, but that's ERG anyway, so it doesn't matter with the slope, sorry. So slope doesn't do anything in ERG. So yeah, so you can go in and out of ERG, even though you've got a percentage here. If you're in slope mode, that just means it's kind of your recommended target wattage, this 40% or 72 watts. Is ultimately your target, but you're in slope mode. So slope mode, it works like Zwift hills. You change the intensity based on the gearing and the pedaling that you do, you know, and the cadence that you do. So anyway, so that's how that works. We also have here interval comments. So let's just say, you know, so we'll put in an interval comment, and the first one will say starts in slope mode, set your gearing. So this will just pop up on the screen, give you some information. You know, if this is within a specific interval, so this is the first interval, the second interval. If I want multiple messages within the same interval, I can do that, and this one will have a 5-second offset, and then, you know, 5 seconds, bam, bam. Okay, right? So it'll just start putting messages up on the screen, reminders for yourself, you know, all kinds of different stuff. You could put cadence reminders if you wanted, but we also have a cadence feature here. And you can just say this is between, you know, 80 and 90 RPM, right? So you can, and our app or Zwift will tell you, hey, here, you know, or whatever platform you're using will tell you that you need to be within this cadence zone. So then you can save it. You can save it as private, or you can save it as public. You can tag it so that it has a special tag like a test or a VO2 max or whatever your tagging system is. If you make this a public workout and you enter a tag, that will be a public tag because you created the workout and it's a public tag. You also can do private tags, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But you name it, you put whatever description you want. You also can upload a GPS, a TCX, or a fit file from a route, and it will, you know, try to approximate the slopes of what you were doing, you know, kind of minute by minute. And if your power is in that file, it will also enter the power. So it will create a similar workout to what you did. You also can create workouts from ZWO, ERG, MRC files, right? So those all work. You also can look here, you can click on text description, and you can see a simple description of what I have here. I've got 5 intervals at 2 minutes at 180 watts with 2 minutes at 72 watts rest, right? So you can see that's the main work of that set, right? And it's easy. It's very similar to what you see in sets and reps, right? So it's kind of the same. It's the same view, let's say, because it's showing you 5 intervals rather than showing you them each individually listed. So you save and upload. You can also assign it to a list right now if you know what list it's supposed to go in, right? If you have a bunch of lists, or you even just want to add it to your favorites, it makes it easier for finding it in our training app if you assign it. But you can always just save it. Let's just say test 65, save. I have test 65 now. I can still add it to a favorite anyway. Add to favorites. Whoops. And so this was my creations, and so that are unlisted. Because I added it to my favorites, it actually moved out of there and moved into my favorites. So you can see it here in my favorites now. So inside of our app, I showed this in the app tutorial, but you also can manage your lists here. And you can create new lists, but you can also, assign short names so that in our app you get a little tab and you can click on that little tab and quickly take you to your favorite list. So short name is kind of like favorite lists, and you have to always make sure you clicked edit. And when you add a short name, test two, it's not a very good short name since that's the name. You always have to hit save here, and then this particular, or that list, whatever test two list, would show up on those little shortcuts. So that's create a workout. You've got a lot of features here on my workouts. One of them is that you can click here, search all workouts. So if you don't know, if you start to get a big list or you don't know what it's on, you can click search all workouts and you can just search for test or whatever, right? So I get all my workouts with the name test in them, which is most of my workouts at the moment. Actually, this is a second account, so I have another account with a bunch of more workouts in it. or real workouts, not just these tests. The other thing we have over here is we have My Activities. So My Activities is what has been completed in our training app. So if you use our training app, they will show up here. The other thing you can see here is we have this little live icon and watch my current training. So if you're training and you go into our app and you turn it on, you can click here, and ultimately it will broadcast your power, your cadence, and all your stuff across the internet and to this web application, and you can view what you're doing on a bigger screen on your PC or on your Mac or anything with a web browser, an iPad, let's say, on another screen if you want. And then you also have you can watch a video, and you can set a YouTube video and create your own favorite YouTube videos that you can use here. And a lot more features are going to come to this broadcast screen. We're going to add a lot more data fields. We're going to add some maps. We're going to do some other cool stuff soon. Okay, so we integrate with a lot of other products. So you can connect to Strava, to Training Peaks, to Garmin, Intervals ICU, Dropbox, Google, Concept 2. Actually, Concept 2 is not out yet, but we're working on it. You can turn on Wahoo. If you have a Wahoo device, you can turn that on, and then from your calendar, you can export plan files. I can show you that, but it will allow you to download a plan from your calendar with the dates inside, copy and paste it into your Wahoo a folder on your Wahoo device, and then you'll have your training plan there. You also can use Training Peaks if you want to send things to Training Peaks and then have it show up in your Wahoo. You can also do it that way. So Training Peaks and Garmin are the two most complicated, let's just say. And we have some different features. So we have workout of the day. We also actually have this for intervals. I should connect to intervals here and show you. But we have workout of the day. If you turn on this workout of the day feature from Training Peaks in our training app on the plan tab, you have to press refresh in our app, turn this on, press refresh in our app, and then you will see your workouts from your calendar in Training Peaks in our app, and you can just keep following them, and it'll always show you kind of the yesterday's workout, today's workout, and the next couple days, right? So it shows you just workout of the day just means a few days worth of workouts. It's not showing your whole calendar. We also have something called Calendar Sync. And Calendar Sync is really about syncing our calendar to Training Peaks. So if you are using our calendar to manage your workouts, which I'll show you, and there's a lot of benefits too, you may want to turn on Calendar Sync to Training Peaks, which will then distribute your workouts to other platforms. So if you're using Training Peaks to manage your plan, or if you have a coach, and then you don't need to turn on this Calendar Sync feature because you don't need to use our calendar. But if you just want to use our mobile app, you only need to do this. But if you want to use our Coach Jack, if you want to manage it in the most optimized way, then turn on this Calendar Sync. use our calendar, and you'll get a bunch of benefits by using Training Peaks and TrainerDay together that way. So, and then with Garmin, you can send all these additional options. So if you want to send Power 3S or Power Lap or Power 10 seconds or Power 1 second. So this is when you're looking at your head unit. Is it taking a 1 second average and saying, are you on or are you off? Or is it looking at like a 10-second average and saying, are you on or are you off? Or an entire lap. I press the lap button and I go, and how close am I to target, for example? And power range, do you want to do exact power? So if you're doing indoor workouts, you might want to have exact power. But if you're doing outdoor workouts, you probably want a range of plus or minus 5 to 10%. And on your easy work, you probably could get away with a bigger range, right? And that's up to you and how you like to train. And we also have this calendar sync feature. So if you're using our calendar and you want to synchronize it to Garmin, you turn on calendar sync. And it will automatically, as you make changes in your calendar here, it'll automatically make those changes in Garmin, right? If you want to use Garmin to manage your plan, then you don't need to turn this on. Instead of syncing to Garmin or syncing to Training Peaks, you can just send an entire plan there. And now I'll show you that. So if I go to search plans, I can find plans. And, popularity seems to be, this one's like 2 weeks long. It seems to be popular because it's 2 weeks long and and it's every day. It's 7 days a week, 14 workouts and 2 weeks long. So a little bit funny, but it's a VO2 max booster, supposedly. It probably would work for 2 weeks. You just have to be really careful that you take some time off. And, it's questionable as to whether you'd get the advantage, but it's kind of like a training camp in a way, let's just say, and there's a reasonable possibility this could give you benefits. So when you click copy to my plans, you can change the training days. So this is a 7-day-a-week plan, but ultimately, does it really need to be 7 day a week, or could I really just do 3 days a week, right? And do the same plan. You could actually get more benefit by doing it 3 days a week than you could by 7, but that's highly individual. It depends on your situation. It's really hard to say. But let's just say you only have 3 days a week available and you want to do all those workouts, you can set it for 3 days a week, or you can leave it as designed. So I click copy plan, and now it's created that same plan and moved it to 3 days a week. I can modify it. I can add my cool little workout I just did and put it in there, right? I can get rid of that workout. And once it's in my plans, then now this is kind of a reusable plan for yours for life. You can just keep using it. You can keep doing stuff with it. You can keep modifying it, and you can keep using it forever. And it's basically free, meaning you don't have to you can store it forever. You don't have to pay to store it. If you want certain features, then you need to be a premium member so let me show you some of that. So if you want to take a plan and you want to send it, 1, you can send it to my calendar. 2, you can send it to Training Peaks. You can send it to Garmin. You can send it to intervals. You can send it to Google Calendar if you want your calendar reminders and to remember what's on there. So you could send it to your calendar with us, but you also could send it to your Google Calendar, and then you would ultimately, get the reminders at the same time. The other interesting thing here is you can send it to start at a certain time. So you can say, when do I want it to start? And you can just, like, for example, send 1 week at a time. As a test, you might want to just send 1 week, go out, do the workouts, see how it goes, feel are they the right intensity for you, and so on. And send 1 week just so that you don't have to deal with 16 weeks of workouts there and have to delete them and all kinds of other stuff. You may want to send a shorter duration, but sending plans like this, you can download a plan like this. You can just download it, and you can manually upload it into these platforms, right? That's a free feature. If you want to send it to Training Peaks, if you want to send it to Garmin, or you want to send it to any of these platforms, then that is actually a paid feature. Okay, so that's my plans. You can see your library over here that you can add workouts to it. If you create the plan yourself and it's ultimately your plan, then you can make that a public plan and share it with other people. And all the plans that are here are actually plans that I think I created one or two of them, but other people created a lot more of them, right, than I did. Let's see, you can clone a plan again, right? So you can re-clone, you can change the days again if you want, from 3 days a week back to 7 days a week, or whatever you want. So you can re-clone that, redo it. You've got a lot of options there. Okay, so the other main feature that we have here is my calendar. Let me say one more thing, actually. So let me back up a little bit. Once you have a plan and it's on my plans, you can say in mobile app, and this will override where your plan comes from. So your plan can come from my plans. Your plan can come from my calendar, and if I turn it off here, I just turned it off on my plans. So you now see on my plans, it's now off. So they fight with each other. And the same with workout of the day. So if you turn it off, if you turn it on somewhere else, it will turn it off. So if I turn it on here, right, I just turned it off on the calendar now. Now I'll go back to the calendar, turn it back off. I turned off Training Peaks WOD. So it's basically choosing where you want to get your plan from. And so when you're choosing to get your plan from my plans, then in our training app, the interesting thing is, rather than it being tied to a calendar, so even though this says Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and it looks kind of like a calendar, ultimately you just do one work. There's no date associated with it here. You can see it's not a calendar. It's really just a kind of a recommended sequence, let's say. And so then you can just execute those workouts one after another as you're available. Oh, I'm not available Monday, so I'm going to do it Tuesday. Oh, this week I only did, I did 4 workouts, and next week I did 2 workouts. It doesn't matter. It's really easy in our app to you just go one workout after the next, and it knows when you completed one, and it just moves to the next time. So that's what we call kind of a sequence of workouts, right? And so that's a feature available of my plans. If you like a calendar and you really want things on very specific days, you can. And we've got a lot of features in here. Oh, I'm sick this week, right? So insert a week above it. Oh, I'm going on vacation. Let's insert a week above this, or let's clear a week. Oh, I missed last week. I'm just going to move ahead anyway, rather than, it's probably not recommended, but it's rather than do the work that I missed, I'm just going to skip forward a week so then I could clear a week, or I want to just change this week to a recovery week or whatever. The other thing is we have like convert to HR. So if you want to do heart rate workouts and you want it to sync to Garmin, let's say you're syncing your workouts to Garmin or Training Peaks, and you want to do heart rate based workouts, you can just go convert to HR, and it's going to convert this whole week to HR workouts. They all turned red, and now they are going to be heart rate based workouts on your device or where have you. Now in our training app isn't super heart rate focused yet. We're actually working on that. We're going to improve the heart rate experience. But you could execute this workout as a heart rate based workout in our app, but let's just say we're working on optimizing that even farther. You can obviously change the month. You can move, here's month forward. Here's some other special kind of features. So one is you can delete my plan. So if I create I'm not showing Coach Jack now, but Coach Jack is a plan builder, and he'll build you a whole plan, and you can send it to your calendar, and then I can just delete the whole thing in one go. I can just click that and boom, remove that whole plan from my calendar. You got compact view. You can shrink everything up, right? You got weekly totals. I can get rid of that. I can share my calendar. So I can share my calendar with somebody else. That could be my coach, that could be my friend, that could be anybody. I can share my calendar, and my coach or whoever wants to see it could actually have a permanent link to my calendar. It would be read only. They could only view the calendar, but they could see your calendar, right? You can share it with your friends. So, compact view. Yes. So we have some other features here. I mentioned this in the bike video, the app video. But you can change your rider weight, your bike weight, your drag coefficient here, and these will change the mileage calculation that we use. So it's kind of like a watts per kilogram. If you're going on a watts per kilogram, down up a hill, it's gonna calculate the right speed for you, right? Or a fairly accurate speed, more accurate than the trainers do by themselves. One other feature I didn't mention here on apps and devices is you have routes to your rides. So if you connect to Strava, we will include a map, which is interesting places or climbs. Now, if you choose climbs, they're really steep climbs. It's, classic climbs of 6 degrees, 7 degrees that are really hard, and you're going to go really slow. So if you want long distances in Strava, do not click on climbs because you're going to get short distances, right? Interesting places are very flat. They're like Miami Beach or islands around the outside of an island or all kinds of things. This is really flat routes, so it gives you good distances. Or you can just leave this off if you don't want a map. Okay, that's it. That's a deep dive into TrainerDay, our web application with all the features, excluding Coach Jack, which we have a separate video on, and excluding our training app, which we also have a video on. But this should give you a pretty good idea of how to do things in our app. Thank you very much.